Show me how. Okay, I'm going to show you how to swap out a water heater. This is an electric one. And you can see the date, 2011. These usually go 6 to 12 years. So, and here's the drain right here. That you want to counter turn. And this hose is leaking.
Oh, you can see that? Yeah, it leaks.
That hose leaks, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, actually I can get another fitting that will work. And so this is the apparatus. And what you do, folks, is shut off the water, which just went in the back, and then open your hose valve to relieve all the pressure. Okay, see it's coming out right here, and then you know it's coming out of the house. Okay, and your water's off. Okay, so what's happening is I took the washer out of this one and I'll put it into this one. I didn't bring my hose with me. And you can see now the water is flowing a little bit. Now it is a little bit chilly up here, but you can see the water's finally starting to come out a little bit, and I'll open it up a little bit more. Another thing to be cognitive of is your pressure relief valve drain, okay, which is hooked up here. So that'll need to be hooked back up. And these valves here are really unnecessary unless you're going to attach into something. Okay, so the kinks are out. So we're getting a little bit better flow now here, folks. Kind of more of a normal flow now. Remember where I'm at, it's really cold. Okay, so it took a while to warm this hose up a little bit. Doing good now. About 30-40 minutes. It's usually the standard drain time. Now this is only a 40 gallon. That is 40 gallon water heater. Getting some gear set up, folks. I like to use that paddle saw. You can do a lot with that. Cut steel. Get your chester out, right, to check, make sure it works. And then you come in here, okay, and you want to check your power here. And it's all good, so you know the power's off, and you know your tester's working just fine. So make sure you shut the power off. That is definitely something that you want to do before you disconnect the water heater. Now I've drained it. I think it's pretty much, feels like there's still some water in there, but we'll check. What I'm doing is I'm gonna replace this here because it's sweat. So if there's ever a problem with this line, you gotta replace it all. This one, you can see there's a little bit of leak here. And this is all sweat, so we're going to redo that into a FIP. Okay, so the wires are all disconnected. Look under manned. It's a 30 amp breaker. All right, so it's disconnected. It's relatively light. These things start getting sediment in them and they can start weighing a lot more. All right, so I'm gonna yank this one out and we'll put the new one in. All right, so we're prepping, folks. Prep your pipes, clean them off, emery cloth. okay? Very important. Use MAP gas. The yellow stuff burns hotter. Okay. Get it all prettied up. Don't want any leaks. It's always a drag. Okay. One little tight spot, folks. Maybe I can get with a file, but it's really good. And this is how you want it to look. That's how you want it to look, really clean, okay? So the sweat is in. So there's the supply line, there's the return line to the hot. A little bit of a tight spot there. I always squirt the water on the wall. That way it's just not gonna go off on you even though it's drywall. So that's what I do. Hopefully it'll stick. I think the supply line, the valve line for sure is really good. We'll see. All right, so the water lines are good, and I'm just about ready to hook the electrical up, although I'm not gonna power it up. I need a little bit longer lines because they had all those extensions on there. So I am going to get a little bit longer line, supply line and return line. All right, and we shall see what happens. But everything looks good, folks. The fitment's good. Put a little bit of a different setup at the bottom of the pan. The pan is different. They didn't have a pan before, which is why it's different. And the pressure relief valve will return around to the back over here. Other than that, it's gonna fit. She's gonna fit, which I had forgot about the height. Okay, folks, everything is good, except again, I have to tie in the overflow. They want 3/4, I'll angle it over here. No power. They're not getting 220. Everything else is fine and dandy. We're looking supreme, which I love. And all right. Okay, so it's a good thing I'm familiar with electrical. But all of this, bone dry, folks. Bone dry. Now you got a nice clean shut off. If this hose ever goes south, you can unthread it. And that's the difference from having the solder. All right? When everything's soldered in. Now it's nice to have your lines, your main lines coming off the wall solder. All right, electric's back in. Here's the problem with electric. Blew a fuse, okay? So they blew a fuse and the guy's going to get a breaker. Sorry, not a fuse. The breaker was burned out. And I believe it was from the heating element that can trip a breaker, but this breaker was burned. Put a tester on here. I was getting 110 on both sides, but I wasn't getting 220 across. Likewise up top, because I wasn't getting it off the breaker. I'm going to show you the breaker when he comes back. Here's the spot right here. Okay. And you can see where it was arcing right there. Huh. Could have been dangerous. Okay. Okay, folks, so here's the final. I'm going to come back and put that up. The reason why she wasn't working was because a burned out 2-pole breaker, double pole, all right, which is a 30 amp. And these are the little ones. And that's why. So I replaced that. Everything's good. I'm getting 220 here, which means I get 220 there, because I wasn't getting 220. I was getting 110 on each side. And that's because the bar in the middle wasn't connected. Show me how? Just showed you how to do a full pull and replace water heater. Thank you for watching.